Hello everyone, it's Makeda Valletta reporting live from Houston. So I guess I'll wait for a couple people to come on, but this video I'm going to be talking about my sensual strength training intensive that I'll be teaching in Cuba this summer, and also the teacher training that I'll be teaching. Many of you who've been following me for some years are probably familiar with my Yoni egg work and with the sensual strength training class that I've been teaching. I started working with Yoni eggs back in 2005, and I started teaching my sensual strength training class 10 years ago in 2007. And so over the years, there's a whole lot that I've learned, and I know a lot more now than I did 10 years ago. And over the years, people would tell me, "Oh, you should train somebody else to teach your class." And I was kind of picky about that because the problem with the fitness industry, one of the problems I've always had with the fitness industry is that they make it too easy for people to get certain certifications. Like if you want to become a Zumba instructor, right? You don't have to have a background in dance. You don't have to have a background in fitness. Anybody watching this video right now can go become a Zumba instructor. And that's not good, because Zumba is based off of Afro-South American dances and Afro-Caribbean dances that take a lifetime to even learn and study. So if you have no background in that, and you don't even know how to do those dances, and then you don't have a fitness background, but then you can go do like a one-day workshop to become a Zumba instructor, that's like total bullshit. So for me, I don't respect that, because I take what I do very seriously, and whether it comes to dance or whether it comes to fitness, nutrition, I've studied with the best. I critically think, and I don't ever want to be responsible for giving somebody the wrong advice and then they mess up their body and their health. I know that when people come to me, they're trusting their health and their body with me. So I don't want to be telling people the wrong shit and then they end up getting messed up, So I'm thankful that in all my years of being a nutritionist, I never told anybody to be a vegan. I never told anybody to drink soy milk or eat tofu. Because I remember when there was a time when that was like really popular, and now all the studies come out that tell everybody, oh, soy is bad and tofu is bad, and there were healthcare practitioners who were telling people to eat that. So now if you have, if people have hormonal problems now because of the advice that you gave them, you have that guilt. I don't have that guilt because I've never done anything like that. I research really well, from a lot of different perspectives, and I critically think, which a lot of people lack these days. I mean, a lot of people fall for the okie doke. Some of that has to do with being raised religious, because religion just teaches you to like believe whatever the fuck, Not me. I'm not like that. So this sensual strength training class that I created back in 2007, it had 3 parts to it. A lot of people get stuck on the Yoni egg part, but that was only one part of it. Really, my background, I graduated in 2003 from the University of Delaware with a Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Sports Science, and a concentration in strength and conditioning, and a minor in sports nutrition. But I started off first as a biotechnology major. I wanted to find, I was interested in finding cures for genetic diseases, especially cancer. So I was like a huge science nerd, I was a biotechnology major for 2 years, took all the microbiologies, organic chemistry, biochemistry, and all of that, and then I switched to exercise and sports science, and under that it was a lot of anatomy, kinesiology, biomechanics, also a lot of chemistry and stuff like that, but it's more applied to the body. And so my specialty is increasing performance and decreasing injury. So my approach to fitness when I train people has never been solely aesthetic. Like, I'm not like a bodybuilding trainer where it's like people want to, I want to work out to get my shoulders like this, and I want to work out to get my thighs like this. Like, I look at the imbalances in the body, and I correct imbalances and help somebody who wants to jump higher or run faster or come back from a knee injury. That's my specialty, and I'm trained to look at the most efficient exercises. Like, there's a million exercises that you can do for your abs, there's a million exercises that you can do for your legs, but some of them aren't that efficient, some of them aren't the most efficient, some of them don't transfer into real life activity, like real life function. So like you know, bodybuilding to me is for posers. It's for working out to look a certain way. But it doesn't mean that you can run, doesn't mean you can jump, doesn't mean you have agility. And those are things you need in life, you know? Those are things you need in life. You never know when somebody might be chasing you, or a dog may jump the fence and be chasing you, or your house or someplace you're at may catch on fire. I remember on 9/11, I remember thinking that when I saw the people running out the buildings, I kept thinking, see, that's why you need to be in shape, because if you all jacked up and you can't run down some stairs, that might be your life. You know what I'm saying? So to me, being in shape is for survival. It's not just solely aesthetic. So when I look at the most efficient ways, you know, to do things, like, I know that, you know, dances of the African diaspora. I started studying dances of the African diaspora in 2006. I've been a dancer since I was 5 years old. Started off studying classical ballet at the Dance Theater Harlem, classical ballet and tap. And then in high school, some modern dance. And of course, I grew up in Harlem. I grew up around Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. And I had, you know, Jamaican friends and Trinidadian friends. So I see somebody said, come to New York. I'm from New York. I'm born and raised in Manhattan. I'm just in the process of moving to Chicago now, and I'm in Houston right now, so I'm like all over the place, but I love New York. That's my home. So I grew up around all kinds of people. So I grew up dancing merengue, Dominican merengue, salsa, which comes from my neighborhood. I grew up dancing in hip-hop, but I was studying ballet and tap. Now, as an adult, in 2006, I started studying Congolese dance. That's the only type of African dance I studied, was Congolese. All of the rest of the dances that I studied are Afro-American, Afro-Caribbean, Afro-South American dances. So I've spent a lot of time studying stuff from Haiti, which has highly influenced me. And I have a video on YouTube called Why Haitian Dance is My Yoga. And I do suggest looking at it, because I go into depth about why Haitian dance is like such potent medicine, and how much I've learned from doing Haitian folkloric dance. I'm not talking about compa, which is social dance. I mean the Haitian folkloric dances, the voodoo dances. So the Congo, the Haitian folkloric dances, Afro-Cuban. And Afro-Cuban dances, there's a lot of different types of Afro-Cuban dances. You have the Afro-Cuban dances, the religious dances that come from the Yoruba, that come from the Congo, that come from Dahomey. You have the social dances that come from the Congo, like Rumba, Son Montuno. Then there are also like the Haitian Afro-Cuban dances, and like in Santiago de Cuba. So there's a lot of, when people say Afro-Cuban dance, there's a lot of things that fit under that. And they're all very highly complex dances that involve complicated footwork, hip manipulation, shoulders. It's very complicated. I've also spent a lot of time studying Afro-Puerto Rican bomba and plena, the drum rhythms and the dances. I also study Haitian drumming too. And Afro-Dominican stuff, like the social dances, like merengue, but also the more religious, like the palos and congos. I've also studied Afro-Brazilian samba, mostly Bahian style, which also descends from the Congo. What else have I studied? I love stuff from Peru. Afro-Peruvian dance is amazing. Afro-Colombian dance. Colombians shake a lot, so do Peruvians. Of course, dance hall. I grew up around dance hall. There's a huge dance hall scene in New York. What else? And then I study booty dances. Like, you know, I studied New Orleans second line and bounce, which I have not mastered yet. And then, you know, you have twerking. And a lot of people use the term twerk just as a generic term for shaking your ass. And it's not it. Twerking is a specific type of shaking ass. Like, it's not Brazilian samba. Like, you can see girls in Brazil shaking their ass too, but they're not twerking. You know, it's a different type of movement. So there are many different ways to move the hips, and many different cultures have ways, and they're different. The way Jamaicans wind is totally different than how Haitians wind. Totally different than how Trini people. So it's you know, there's these, to naked eye it may all look the same, but it's not. So when I started studying these dances, I danced for a Haitian folkloric company called Mickerline's Haitian Dance Company in New York City, and I also danced with some other Haitian folkloric choreographers, and I learned a lot. And I also danced with a traditional Congolese company in New York called Fuchsia Dance. And if you're in New York, I recommend studying with the teacher I studied with. Her name is Fumilayo. She's amazing. But I remember when I was dancing for these companies, and there's so much that I learned about our history, Afro-Indigenous history, Black history, in the Americas. A lot of our history is in these dances. A lot of stuff that hasn't been written down is in these dances. These dances are also highly complicated and very sexual. A lot of them are overtly sexual. So you're doing dances for death, you're doing dances for birth, you're doing dances to welcome the spirits, you're doing dances for war, and they all include a lot of gyrations and hip circles. And there's reasons for that, okay? And most people cannot do these dances for 30 minutes before they feel like they're going to choke and pass out. And there are plenty of times that I've been in my classes and I feel like I'm going to die. And I start thinking about how these dances were done by people, our ancestors, my ancestors, you know, they were done by people who were enslaved. They were doing extreme physical labor in the hot-ass sun of the American South, of the Caribbean, of South America. And they still found the energy to do these complicated dances all fucking day long on a Sunday. But then we can't do it for 30 minutes. Then that shows you how weak we are compared to our ancestors, you know? And so whenever I would feel like that, like, oh my God, I can't do this, I'm gonna die, I would start pulling strength from my ancestors. I would think about that. And I'm like, if they could do that, I could do that, you know? I could do it. And I find the energy to push through it. So there's a lot that I've learned from these dances, and this is too much to talk about in this video, but I took, you know, that's part of my sensual restraint training classes, teaching women, you know, a variety of these dances, the medicine behind it. And whenever I've taught my class, women have consistently told me that that was their favorite part was the dancing. They might have come because of the eggs, but the dancing was always their favorite. And so that's part of my sensual strength training class. The other part is teaching women how to lift weights correctly, how to strength train correctly. Because as a trainer, and I've been a personal trainer since 2001 or 2 or something, I've noticed that like all my female clients would always tell me, oh yeah, like I have 5-pound dumbbells at home and that's it. You know, every woman has 5-pound dumbbells and they think they can't lift more than that, but yet women give birth and they're carrying more than 5 pounds in their womb, and women are then carrying around babies, you know, that are heavy as shit. I remember the first time I picked up a baby, because I didn't grow up around babies. My brother, my twin and I, we were the babies in our family, so I was like kind of grown when I first picked up a baby, and I was kind of surprised how heavy they were. So I'm like, if women are carrying babies around, you can pick up more than 5 pounds, okay? And you should be picking up more than 5 pounds, so you don't end up injuring your back, you know, carrying heavy babies around. So if you're somebody who wants to lose weight, like you feel like, you know, you're too fat or you want to lose fat, I don't like saying lose weight. You don't, the sports scientists and exercise physiologists, we say lose fat, because losing muscle is never good for you. And if you go on a starvation diet, if you go do like too much catabolic exercise, if you go about it the wrong way, then you will lose muscle too. Then that's not good. So you want to lose fat, right? So if you're somebody who wants to lose fat, or if you want to gain weight, like me, I work out to gain weight. I work out to be strong, but I'm always like, I work out to be strong and to gain weight, because I have a complex about being skinny. I don't like skinny. So but whether you are somebody who feels like, oh, you're too thin and you want more body, or you feel like, oh, I have too much body, I need to lose some of this, either way, you need to strength train, okay? As we age, after the age of 30, we lose about 2% of our muscle every year. You know, how much muscle we lose depends on what we did before 30 and what we do after 30, okay? And that's why you have people like Angela Bassett, who look amazing, and she looks better than a lot of people who are like 25, because she's been working out over the years. And as a 19-year-old, I saw that working in this industry. I saw plenty of women who were older, that were way stronger than I was, and they were way stronger than I was. And like, I remember being 19 and being around 50-year-old women, and I felt like ashamed because they were so much stronger than me. So, but I know that they were working out over the years, and that's one of the reasons why I work out all the time. Like, it's not just for the look, it's because I'm trying to keep my shit together as I get older. When you see older people who are all broken down, their knees are messed up, their back is messed up, they got this problem and that problem, that is years of not taking care of yourself. You can't be young and abuse your body and take it for granted that you will always have this body. If you don't put the work in to keep the shit together, it's going to fall apart, okay? That's just a given. So, so strength training is important because for men and women, because men too lose muscle, and then you lose testosterone, and you know, it's not good for an aging man. So strength training is really important because it helps to build a muscle so that our bodies function better. Muscle takes stress off of our joints. So if you have any knee problems or back problems, strengthening the muscles around it can help. And also, muscle is the metabolic tissue of the body. So the more muscle you have, the more fat you burn even when you're doing nothing, and the more food you have to eat to maintain that muscle. And so that's also why sometimes, like when you see people who are obese, people think they eat so much, but a lot of times obese people don't eat as much as some little like thin person who has a lot more muscle, because it just takes muscle is the metabolic tissue of the body, not the fat really. I mean, there is some metabolic fat, but most people's fat is not metabolic, and that's a whole other discussion. So teaching women how to strength train properly, how to do squats properly, how to strengthen your back properly, how to strengthen your chest properly, how to strengthen your entire body properly with resistance. And the dances of the African diaspora. Number 2, teaching women a variety of dances that involve activation of the hips so that you can connect to your hips, connect to your center, but also get more control. It's not just about like having tight, strong abs, because your abs can be too tight and too hard, and that's not good for your womb. And that's something that I've learned a lot about studying with Pakazani, who I talk about all the time. She's like one of my favorite people, definitely one of my favorite teachers in the whole world. Pakazani, and you could find her on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube under Indigimama, Indigimama. She's the truth. And by the way, she's teaching a class in Long Beach at the end of this month that I will be at. But she is an herbalist, a real dope herbalist. A lot of people these days don't know how to stay in their lane. Like, I'm a nutritionist and I'm a trainer. I'm not a chiropractor. I'm not a massage therapist. I'm not an herbalist. And to truly be an herbalist, you need to be able to communicate with plants. It's a spiritual thing. It's not like you can't just go to school and study it. You really have to be able to communicate with them. And I've been around Pakazani a lot. I've taken her classes many times. I have taught classes, co-taught classes with her, and I've helped, assisted, while she worked on clients. And so I know that she's the truth. I have seen her do things to people that I've learned from traditional Chinese medicine, stuff that I've learned in Afro-Brazilian dance classes, stuff that I've learned from a variety of different cultures. I've seen her do, and she didn't study those things. She learned from her people, And okay, so yes, I'll write about her when I'm done. But Indigimama, like Pakazani, she's easy to find. But the thing is, she teaches something called abdominal womb massage. Well, she does something called abdominal womb massage where she can palpate a woman. It's too much sun. She can palpate all this sun. Okay, so she can touch a woman's womb and feel like where her uterus is, where her ovaries are, where her stomach and her intestines are, and she can tell if it's in the right place or not, and if it's not, she moves it over. She moves it into the right place. She's also touched women and felt fibroids and cysts that they didn't know that they had, and she's diagnosed women with that, and when they've gone to the doctor, they were told, yes, you do have fibroids and cysts. So thank you, Carla, for posting Pakazani's information. Pakazani is like truly the truth. And the Jamama ancestral healing. Thank you, Carla. I've never even come across another person that knows what this woman knows, and she's just brilliant. And she is teaching less and less classes now because she has 2 sons and a family, and traveling all the time is not necessarily, the funnest thing, and especially if you have a family. So she is teaching less and less. So I highly recommend going to her class at the end of this month in Long Beach if you can make it. I really, really do. I can't tell you enough. I've taken this class, this is like my 4th time or something taking it. I've taken that class. I've taken her advanced class. I have taken her other class, Matriz y Concha, which is like a little bit different. And then she and I have co-taught. We co-taught a class together in Costa Rica last year, and Costa Rica last year, in Oakland this year, called Matriz Mística. And what was I going to say? So studying with her, it even deepened my knowledge about fitness and something that we call womb-centered fitness, because in talking to her, she would tell me about certain exercises that she knows that when women do, it can dislocate their uterus. And those same exercises, I didn't give my clients for other reasons, because I told you I'm a strength and conditioning specialist. So I'm trained to look at efficiency of exercises. I don't just do random ass exercises. I don't give my clients random ass exercises. Like, I don't believe in the treadmill. Treadmill's a waste of time. And I don't even respect trainers that put their clients on the treadmill. Like, you lose your points when you do that. So, and talking to her and her, like, telling me about these exercises, and I'm like, wow, like, I didn't know that. But I didn't give my clients these exercises for a different reason, Or Pankazani and I are both anti-heels. I don't do heels because I noticed all the women in my family who wore a lot of heels in the 60s and when they were young, when they get older, they're all messed up. Their knees are fucked up. Like, they can't do this, their back. I had a client in New Orleans who, not in New Orleans, I'm sorry. I had a client in Atlanta who used to be a stripper at Magic City for many years, and she told me that, like, all of the girls, when they're done, their backs are all messed up from wearing those super high heels, and, a lot of people don't think about the long run. They don't think about, the future, like what's going to happen. You're trying to be cute now, but you don't realize you're not going to be cute later when you're all hurt. So my approach to fitness is that, like, I don't teach things that's like, women love to be sexy. So it's like, okay, all these girls want to work out now because they could put on heels and walk around being sexy. But I've seen a lot of girls doing these, like, stiletto workouts who look like a hot mess. Like, their bodies, their posture, like, everything is just a mess. Just because you put heels on doesn't automatically make you sexy. You need to get your body right, first of all. Secondly, it's detrimental, and I always knew it was detrimental for your knees and your hips and your back, but Pankazani taught me that it can dislocate your uterus, and it is a big deal when your uterus is not in the right place. Modern medicine teaches women that it's not a big deal. They'll tell a woman, oh yeah, uterus is tilted to the left, oh, it's tilted to the right, it's tilted backwards. It's not that big of a deal, but it is, because when your uterus is not in the right place, it can it pulls other organs into the wrong place. It can be putting pressure on stuff like your intestines, and now your digestion is fucked up. So, and your hormones are not secreting properly. It can affect not just your fertility, but your overall health. So your uterus being in the right place is super important. And so just the things that I've studied with her has deepened my knowledge when it comes to Yoni egg stuff as well. And lately I've been seeing so many women who are teaching about Yoni eggs, and I'm a critic. I take what I do seriously. I don't jump on bandwagons just because somebody has some, like, Kemetic name, or they gave themselves an African name, which a lot of times aren't even real. Like, my name is real. My name really is Makeda Valletta. My dad really named me after the Queen of Sheba. I didn't give myself that name. When I call myself Queen Lioness, it's because I am a Leo. I was born on August 1st, and my name is Makeda. Makeda was the Queen of Sheba. So that's a queen twice. So that's where Queen Lioness comes from. When I call myself the Renaissance Amazon, it's because as a little girl, my dad always told me, you're a Renaissance woman. My dad told me that the whole time I was growing up. And I actually grew up in the apartment that Paul Robeson lived in for years in Harlem, in Sugar Hill. And my parents still live in that apartment. And Paul Robeson was a Renaissance man. But my dad always told me that. And then, as I got older and I started studying Amazons, because a lot of people think that Amazon means that you're tall, and that's not what Amazon means. You should actually look it up. But Amazon more so means fighting woman. There were certain women that were on all continents that ended up fighting for what was right. When patriarchal religion and patriarchal armies tried to overtake, these women started fighting, and they were fierce. And so that's what an Amazon is. And so I just changed woman, Renaissance woman, to Amazon, So that's where all these names come from. But I'm not, like, there's so many people that give themselves these, like, fake-ass names that are just fake, period. Then, people are teaching, I see people teaching about Yoni eggs, and they're not giving the correct information. They're giving exercises that are all right, but they're not the most effective, And so now, after seeing this, I am inspired because I do care, and because in a couple years I have some other plans that I'm not going to talk about right now, but I won't be able to teach like that. And also, I don't have the desire to travel around trying to put together these workshops like that anymore. And being a fitness professional, one thing I know is that you have to, it's ongoing practice that really makes stuff effective. Not just simply taking a weekend workshop. Like, I've been pole dancing for like almost 3 years now. My 3-year anniversary of pole dance will be in like March, right? I still take class. I take class everywhere I go. I have 3 pole teaching certifications, and I'm about to start teaching pole dance at Flurry Girl Fitness in Chicago. I've taught at a studio in Harlem. I've taught at a studio in Brooklyn. And I've taken classes at studios in DC, in LA, in Atlanta, in Chicago, in New York, and I'm in Houston right now, and I'm going to try to find a studio while I'm here, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And even though I'm an instructor, I still am very much a student, and I still need to be corrected. I still get corrected all the time. So I'm humble enough to know that, I always need a coach and a teacher and a trainer. And dancers, professional dancers who dance for Albanelli, they still go to dance class. So to think that you can just, take a class once and you're proficient, no, it needs to be ongoing. So I feel like teaching instructors who can teach these classes effectively and correctly in their communities on an ongoing basis is more effective than me traveling all the way to wherever it is, stressing myself out to do a 2-day workshop that a lot of times doesn't always stick with people, So this has inspired me to put together an instructor training, and it's going to be in Cuba this summer, in July. What's the dates? It's the 17th through the 21st. Yeah, July 17th through 21st in Santiago de Cuba, not in Havana. Santiago de Cuba, if you look at a map of Cuba, is on the other side of the island. It's like across from Haiti. And I'm going to do a sensual strength training intensive, a 5-day intensive the week before. So from July 10th through the 14th. There's 5 days. It'll be 5 hours each day. So it's 25 hours total. And every single day we will be dancing, usually to live drums. So I'm working on getting drummers from Santiago, also some dance teachers from Santiago, because I will not be teaching the Afro-Cuban dancing. Not while I'm in Cuba, not even in the United States, because I'm not proficient enough at those dances. I've studied them, but I don't know as much as my teachers, right? So since we're in Cuba, in a place with a wealth of, it's not just a wealth of knowledge, but it's like there's so many amazing black dances. So I'm working on getting some teachers from there to teach my ladies, and then I will teach some other stuff from the diaspora, a little bit of Haitian stuff, a little bit of Puerto Rican stuff, a little bit of Brazilian stuff, a little bit of Peruvian, just throwing some things. And we will also be spending time doing Yoni egg exercises and meditations, and a little drumming with the eggs as well. And I am a trained drummer, even though I'm way more of a dancer than a drummer. But I can hold it down with my Haitian family in New York. But since I've been pole dancing, I haven't been drumming so much anymore. I have to get back to that. But drumming will also be a part of it. And when I said dancing, drumming, yeah, and then strength training. So you'll be learning how to, work your back properly, work your chest properly, work your legs properly, work all that properly, so that when you're done with my class, you know how to work out on your own, you know how to progress, and you understand the do's and don'ts of strength training and why it's important. Because trust and believe it is, okay? Muscle is what gives you shape. It's the glue that holds your body together, so it is very important. What was I going to say? So that will be the sensual strength training intensive that I'm doing in Cuba, from Santiago de Cuba, from July 10th through the 14th. Then there's the weekend, then the following week, the 17th to the 21st, I'm going to do a teacher training, and that is going to be 40 hours spread out over 5 days. And for the teacher training, I will be teaching women basic anatomy, the whole entire body, excuse me, large muscles, and the muscles of the pelvic floor, vaginal muscles, the anatomy of the womb. So we're going to spend a lot of time with that. We're going to spend time talking about women's gynecological reproductive issues like cysts and fibroids and these things, and you know, where it comes from, things that can be done to help it, but also how it pertains to working with the yoni egg, pelvic prolapse, women who have vaginal dryness, women who have there's something called like persistent genital arousal. It's like when women, and men can have it too, where they're just having orgasms constantly and it's actually painful and not a good thing. So when you have people with you know, hysterectomies, like all these different things, like they may have had, you know, ovarian cancer or something. There's a lot of things that you need to know. And this is the reason why it's dangerous for just anybody who thinks that, oh yeah, yoni eggs, they're cute, and I'm a pretty model, so I can sell them. And there's a lot of models selling yoni eggs who have no background at all in the health sciences and don't really know what they're doing. And so that could be dangerous, okay? So, so we're gonna go in depth talking about those things. We're gonna go in depth talking about, like, you know, muscle physiology, biomechanics, like the principles of that and why that's important. And so in an applied way, so that you know when you're working with people how to teach properly. Oh, what did somebody say? Okay, so if somebody wants to contact me, when I'm done, I'll put my information. I think I can do that, but you can email me at thebodyscientist81@gmail.com. So the THE, body, BODY, scientist, SCIENTIST, 81 at gmail.com. And 81 is the year I was born, and also my birthday is August 1st. So my birthday is 8181. 8181. 8 plus 1 is 9. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. And then 8 plus 1 is 9 again. And I have a twin brother. And, you know, 8 is a feminine number. 1 is a masculine number. It's duality, duality, duality. So that's me, right? So anyhow, thebodyscientist81@gmail.com. You can email me. And the Body Scientist 81, you can find me on YouTube and find my videos under that, and the Renaissance Amazon. So anyhow, in the instructor training, we're going to be spending time on that. Then we're also going to spend time discussing in depth, okay? Discussing and learning in depth, like some basics to folkloric Haitian dance, Congolese, Afro-Puerto Rican, Afro-Cuban, like a variety of Afro-diasporic dances. I'm going to teach you some basic movements that you can teach your students, and we're going to talk about, you know, why they're important, the medicine in them, like what's the medicine and the purpose of shaking your body, you know, what's the medicine and importance of circling your hips, and so going into depth in those things, you know, yeah. I can't think if there's anything else, but yeah, it's basically the instructor training. I'm going to go into depth with that, so that if you are to move forward as a teacher, you have a very strong foundation for understanding the do's and don'ts and how to progress and how to teach properly, okay? And in order to attend this training, you should have taken my class before, okay? So if you want to teach and you've never taken my class before, then I suggest trying to take the class that I'm taking the week before, and then you can stay for the instructor training, okay? And if you haven't taken my class before and you really want to teach, maybe I might make considerations for some people, but you really should have taken my class before, right? That's number one. Number two, you don't have to have a background in fitness, but it helps. But you should have a background in dance if possible, you know, either as a trained dancer, especially in the African diaspora, but it doesn't have to be, but as a trained dancer, or socially, like you could be somebody who's just a bomb-ass hip-hop dancer, or, you know, bomb-ass dance hall dancer, but you never took any classes, because like dance hall and a lot of black street dances are not really class-based, you know, but you should be, you know, you should have some type of dance background. But if you don't, I can also make considerations for that as well. It's just that there will be testing, you know, so in the instructor training, there will be testing, and so you will have to be proficient enough to teach at least movements from at least 3 different cultures, and I'll help you with that, you know, but that's part of it. And then also, to attend the instructor training, you should have been working with the yoni egg, you know, for at least a year is ideal, okay? And if you're interested in the instructor training, I'm going to put the information up on my Facebook, like probably later today. you can contact me and we can discuss it. I will have 10 available spots. And after the teacher training, after taking it and passing it, then you will have ongoing support from me. So moving forward, you know, like any questions or anything that you need, you'll have my ongoing support, and you'll become a part of a community of other instructors so that we can, you know, piggyback off each other, and you can always have people to, like, you know, speak to about what you're teaching and stuff like that. So you have that type of support as well. So that is the instructor training that I'm doing in Cuba, in Santiago de Cuba. Okay, so again, it's on the other side of the island in Havana. And also, the reason why I chose July was not just because a lot of people have off in July, but also because July is when the carnival happens in Santiago. Okay, and Santiago, I know some people that say they like Santiago better than Havana, and I loved Havana. But the carnival time is like all through July, and in a town called Trinidad, which is also in Cuba, another black historical town called Trinidad. And so I plan on being there for the whole month of July, because I'm going to carnival in Trinidad, I'm going to carnival in Santiago, and the carnival in Santiago is like before and after my class. So I'm just letting you guys know that. So if anybody that wants to come to my class or the teacher training, knowing that carnival time is happening around then too. Yeah, I think I've said all that I need to say. If you came to this video late, go back and watch the whole recording so you can get all the information. If you don't know who Pakazani is in a Digimama, I highly suggest that you do. And Digimama Ancestral Healing. And she is teaching us the Bodice class at the end of this month in Southern California. I don't know if it's in LA or Long Beach, but I will be there. And like I said, I've taken the class many, many times. So women, you can learn how to touch yourself and know where your ovaries are, and feel the pulse of your ovaries, and know where your fallopian tubes are, and where's your uterus, and, you know, where's your stomach and your intestines, and know how to, like, kind of shift them for yourself. And, you know, just very good womb care is very, very important. And when learning stuff like this, you want to learn it from someone who knows what they're doing, because if they don't, they can mess you up. So just understand that. And I think I've said all that I need to say about this. So thank you all for listening. If you found this video helpful, please spread the information, spread the love, send the video to people that you know, post it on your pages, find me on YouTube. If you have any questions and are interested in attending the training, just check me out on Facebook as I post the info, and you can email me too, thebodyscientist81@gmail.com. So thank you all for listening, and I hope that you all are well. Bye.